Cindy Sellers of Angel Farms, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Felicia Cowden, and I'm so happy to reintroduce Cindy to our community. And it's been wonderful that Angel Farms at one point was on Kauai, and now it is on the island of Hawaii. And tell us for just a minute what Angel Farms is. I had such a wonderful experience there myself, and it was transformational for both me and my family. I felt like a lifesaver for my son.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and Angel Farms.
So I'm Cindy Maheilani Sellers. I started Angel Farms over 35 years ago now, hard to believe, to save my own life from a injury from a car wreck in which my back bent in the middle. And so from 83 to 89, I lived in hellacious pain. And the only thing the doctors told me they could do was to break my back and put 2 titanium pins in it. And that was supposed to get me out of all this pain. But I'm like, I'm not going to let you break my back. And set me on the search, right? Which our journeys do that. And then in 89, I'm laying on my living room floor in a neck brace, and I was so angry at God. How am I going to take care of my family? And I'm not getting up till I have an answer, and I got an answer. And once I started on myself, 10 days later, my back was straight and I was done. So I was my first miracle. And then been doing this now for 35 years, and I'm known all over the world as a miracle junkie because it's absolutely amazing to watch when people can literally change their lives. So they come to the Big Island and do a cleanse, and it's a spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental process. And so we work on all aspects so we don't miss anything, because many people have worked on their spiritual, many people on their physical, many people on their mental, many people on their spiritual, but if they leave one piece out, it doesn't do the whole thing. So Angel Farms is a whole thing, and a remarkable process.
Yeah, and what I want to say, I had heard about Angel Farms from a number of people, a lot of people who were maybe having a very strong battle with cancer or very serious health situations. And then also I used to have surf and skate shops, was very involved in the surf world. And so people would come back from Bali and Indonesia and all around, and very often those places were tropical areas, equatorial countries. And they come back and they're not well and they can't figure out what's wrong. And they would go to Angel Farms, which I would describe as, you're saying it, but it's like 2 weeks that people go there for a pretty holistic health effort. But the most, I would say, impactful and kind of shocking as a person going is just the infestation that people have with parasites. It's probably more strong in the equatorial areas, but when I went earlier this year, only 2 of us were really from Hawaii, and people come from all over the country and maybe the world to go there. Yeah?
Yep.
So can you speak to the role of parasites in terms of how it impacts our health in all kinds of hidden ways that we aren't aware of?
Yeah, parasites are a thing. We just finished one recently, and I had several people that had literally 3-foot worms coming out. And interesting how as human beings, when we have a trauma after a meal, say we eat a meal together and then we sit around and talk for 40 minutes and then we go out and somebody smashes into our car or something, and our body goes into that immediate fight or flight response. And so the digestive system, which is 85% energy consuming, has to shut down in order for the adrenals to run the fight or flight response. And that actually happens at 238 miles per hour. We can't even catch that thought. And so the soft tissue of the digestive tract, which is just like the inside of your mouth all the way through your rectum, it's this soft tissue, and so the meal will actually be grabbed and creates what we call a pocket, or on the Big Island we call it a catchment tank. But these are now great places for yeasts and candidas and metals and chemicals and parasites to host inside the body. And because the tissue is stretched, it causes what's called auto-intoxication, where the toxins can actually seep through the bowel wall because it's no longer thick, it's thinned. And so, but the miracle of that tissue is that it heals in only 72 hours, which I call a resurrection. It's amazing. That's like if you've ever bitten your tongue or your cheek really bad and you made hamburger out of it, and you notice in about 72 hours it's all healed up. That's how fast that tissue heals if we give it the right opportunity. So this is a great place for those parasites. So no matter what we take by mouth, nothing gets them until we can get the pocket out, and then the body can move it. But what happens is these pockets can also create like blockages, and so then there's these long ropes that we call them. A young man who on the actually for a year and a half was on bone broth and rice, and he's a single father, hardly any energy to do anything because of traumas that had happened, and he had 2 massive ropes that were over 3 foot long, and the worms that pack up behind that, because the body has to try to move all that stuff through, was just eating him alive. And interesting about parasites too is that the bigger ones host on the right side than they do on the left, and this is why the number 1 hip replacement is the right hip. And like the number 1 knee that goes first is the right knee, and the number 1 side when a human has a stroke that goes paralyzed is on the right side. And the reason is because they're robbing the nutrients coming into the right side of the body, and it starves to death. And so far, we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of right hip surgery scheduled and never lost a hip yet, right? Because it can regenerate, but we have to get the reason why it's starving to death out. And the parasites take a lot of nutrients from us. And I've seen them even many times over 6 feet long.
Well, so what really sunk into me is, like with our animals and the pets that we love, horses, any of these things, we regularly know to deal with parasitic infections in the animals. And in our medical system, that is almost not even looked at or considered or discussed. And what I found in the 2 weeks that I was there is it's like getting an education on how your body works. And then with the cohort of people that are there at the time, we all sort of learn from each other. We learn from other stories. And there really are miracles. I mean, I went because I would say it saved my son's life. And he went from a grown man at his middle school weight and just really wasting away. And so I was very thankful to our surf community who said, this is where he needs to go. But it looked like people can have all kinds of different symptoms. It doesn't matter whether you're dealing with something like MS or heart problems, liver problems, kidney problems, exhaustion. It's amazing how there is a role in all of this. Even for me, my vision got a lot better, though I learned more about what's called inflammation, like the small thing that I didn't expect. 2 weeks there, I lost 2 dress sizes. I didn't go there for that, but that was great. Yeah. But I have kind of puffed up again a little bit, and I can tell that is inflammation rather than fat. And what was really interesting is when I came back, my glasses didn't work because I saw so much better, and you gave us these eye exercises and things. But as I've kind of like gotten half that stuff back a little bit, and I can tell it's, just puffiness, my vision has kind of not been as strong. So everything is connected.
Yeah.
And so if you're able to give us some examples of either miracles that you've watched, I'm even thinking about a little 4-year-old from us over here that, seemed to overcome any of his symptoms of leukemia. That's like a really, really big one. But you're kind of filled with miracles and helping people to understand how something that's maybe in your digestive tract can affect your lungs or your bones or whatever else. So how does everything relate to each other?
Right. Well, first I'll address the inflammation. So, that's a big deal for people. And when people come in first to Angel Farms, I tell them, when you have inflammation, really back off your carbohydrates, which is anything that grows like a grass. So people get that confused too. So a banana is not a fruit, it's a carb because it's a seed of a grass. A corn is not a vegetable, it's a carb because it's a seed of a grass. So is oats, so is rice, so is quinoa, so all of these are seeds of a grass. And people think a potato is a seed of a grass, it's not.
Okay.
So potato is not the one that causes the inflammation. It's the carbs that break down via amylase in the mouth. So your beautiful pancreas, which is a 7-inch long sea cucumber looking organ in the shape of a smile, it produces 1.5 liters of amylase every day to break down your carbohydrates. And it also helps with inflammation. So if you're eating carbs, when you have inflammation, you're overworking the pancreas and it can't help with the inflammation. So that's why I have people back off it until we get past the pancreas and get it working, and get people, not to have sugar issues or diabetes, and but it helps with the inflammation. So people start deswelling usually by the second to third day. You can just see them shrinking, which is really great, and a lot of inflammation in a lot of areas. And actually, on the last one, I had another guy that said, "You see that red flower over there across the way from us?" And I'm like, "You mean the African tulip?" And he said, "Yeah, I did. I can see it, and I didn't see that." So even his eyesight improved, and he was very excited about it. And he was in his 80s. He was in his early 80s. And anyway, but I have seen, over working with thousands and thousands of people worldwide, is that when we're able to clean out our temple and recognize the emotional issues that we've been holding there, and really looking at when we were, and our inner child stuff is very important too, that we all picked up before we were 8 years old, when we believed in things about ourselves that aren't true. It's very powerful that we course correct those. And then when we're operating from a place of peace, and a place of gratitude, and a place of love, and a place of understanding. When we're angry, we're going to hurt our liver. This is a lot of the things that we teach at Angel Farms. When you're judging and criticizing and pulling yourself off the Nani Ka'ala road, or the beauty road of loving, you're going to hurt yourself. So this is a big deal. I just had a guy talk about a miracle that came in from Las Vegas that was on a liver transplant list. And I picked him up at the airport and asking him who's he mostly angry at, because the liver is the anger center. As a 535 functioning organ, we have to be really careful, because it also is the most emotionally sensitive organ. And like if we never change the filters in our cars, how long would our cars run properly? So this is a very important to understand the filtration system of our body. And of course, immediately he tells me he's so angry at Trump. And I'm like, "Do you know his name? Does he know your name?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Do you know him personally?" "No." And I said, "So then why are you willing to die over somebody that doesn't even know your name? Isn't that silly?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know." And I said, "Well, I'm going to start giving you every day a reason to send him blessings. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with him, but you do have to send him blessings, so you don't end up on maybe having a liver transplant, and maybe it doesn't work, because many of them don't. And so why don't you keep your own liver, because the liver is a really great regenerative organ if you give it the right opportunity." And so every day I gave him something, and every day he was like, "Oh, he did that? Okay, I can send blessings for that." And by the 9th day, I asked him, "How you doing with President Trump?" And he said, "Okay, I have reasons to send him blessings." And he said, and then I said, "Oh, good." I said, "So how do you feeling about, say, Marjorie Taylor Greene?" And he went ballistic again. And I said, "You know what? You just took a 2x4 and smashed your liver again." And he went, "Did I do that?" And I said, "And does she know your name?" "No." I said, "So send her blessings then." And he did. And then he said, "I'm never doing that again." And so then 2 weeks later, he calls me from Vegas, and he had got back from his doctor's office, and he said, "Cindy, guess what?" I'm like, "What?" He said, my enzymes went up 80% in my liver, and my doctor just pulled me off the liver transplant list. Mine's doing really well. And I said, "How are you doing with your lack of anger at anybody?" Because he wasn't only mad at them, he was mad at contractor, and he's just angry, and he isn't anymore. And he said, "I'm done with all that. I decided it's way better to send blessings and gratitude, even if I don't agree with it, than it is to hurt myself over their behavior that I don't agree with." And I said, "Way to be an angel."
Yes, and then and correct me if I don't have this understanding right, we work on the lymphatic system. There is all kinds of sensorial things, like massage work with oils and all kinds of loving things like that too, that help. And it works together, even like looking at the sun, that's part of fixing your eyes.
Yeah.
But with the presence of parasites in your system, it can impact all different types of organs depending upon where they might be located in your system? Like if it's pushed up against the kidney, maybe your kidney's going to have more problems? Or how's that the emotions and the parasites work together?
That's a very good question. So parasites, I tell people, let go of your parasitical thoughts and behaviors of fear. Because what is fear? And this is a big one that we teach on a daily basis at Angel Farms. Is what is fear? F-E-A-R. Fantasized emotion appearing real. And if we can imagine ourselves getting into a front seat of a 12-story roller coaster, and you know how's the bar to hold you down and makes the clicking sound so the car doesn't go backwards, and you're going up 5 stories, click, 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 10 stories, click, 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 12 stories, and you're about to drop 12 stories down. Whoom! Where you feel that in your body is always in your gut, because this is, in the human body, is the fear center. And when we understand this, we can now use it as a tool. So whenever we feel the contraction or the energy of fear, what we do is we stop whatever we're doing. We put our hands on our bellies. This is a good thing for everybody to do right now, by the way. And you inhale, belly goes out, and exhale, belly goes in. And inhale, belly goes out, and exhale, belly goes in. And when you do this, you literally are activating your magnificent diaphragm, and you're stopping the adrenaline fight or flight response. That is so amazing to do to keep your adrenals healthy. And then you ask yourself your 5 questions. So what do you hear right now? So everybody pay attention what you hear, what you see, hello, what you smell, what you taste in your mouth, and what you feel on your body. And in this moment, what do you have to fear?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's always the truth, because fear is only from regretting yesterday and worrying about tomorrow, and we literally flip ourselves into non-existence, called fantasized emotion appearing real. And so when we're staying here, we're going to open up our ability to absorb more nutrients and let go of parasitical thoughts and behaviors of fear. Because the more we stay out of fear, the less the parasites like our frequency. And parasites have been tested to have a very low frequency, which matches the energy of fear. And so when we amp our field up of love and gratitude, they don't like that energy, and so they're gonna want to evacuate as quickly as possible. And one of the big things that I do at Angel Farms is we're constantly, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 high, how much you love yourself.
Right.
Right?
Okay. Up 10.
Yeah, and then
I'm working on that.
Yeah,
yes.
and on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 high, how much does God love you? 10. And so always fake it till you make it until you're a 10. And so your frequencies stay so high that you're not only not attracting parasites to you, but you're also lifting everybody in your presence, which is what we should be doing, right?
And when we're talking about frequency, even there's some little metal thing or like magnetic thing that you put on while you're under treatment that changes your frequency to help cause things to go out of you. There's multiple ways. Like I'm kind of pragmatic. Like honestly, like I appreciate your website. It's angelfarms.com. But I look at it as like a little hippie for me, honestly. But when it's there, it's like it's beautiful, by the way. Between flowing rivers, everything sounds like a rushing waterfall. There's so many environmental elements that are good, but we eat like almost like baby food to help that whole track be good. But it's very, very high quality, organic, mixed, high nutrient food that you're eating while you're there. And the other thing, like there's a few tips that I learned that I've really brought back with me, and that's to super chew my food. So, and then to drink a ridiculous amount of water, really. Like sometimes I fail a little bit, but now I can tell when I fail a little bit. But you try to drink like 128 ounces a day. So when you drink all that water and then you're chewing your food well and then you're eating right, it's really kind of trying to recalibrate how you relate to your body and certainly your awareness in it. But so, do you want to speak to any of those things at all, or
yes, the chewing the food is literally a mastery, and I understand it as the reason why we're born without teeth, because we need to know the consistency that's best for our bodies for the rest of our life, and then we grow teeth in order to keep it that way. And so if you can't chew your food till it's liquid, don't swallow it, spit it out. So I tell people, you can chew a piece of a pineapple, but you can't chew all that up to liquid. So that means you chew it till you get all the juice out of it, and then you spit that piece out. Celery, all these things that you can't chew them till liquid, and If you look at your body, you have no teeth anywhere in your entire digestive system except in your mouth. So this is where it's supposed to be liquid before you swallow it. And if you realize that the inside of your mouth is the same tissue as the inside of your digestive tract, there's no teeth there, and it's very soft tissue. It cannot break anything down except more soft food and more liquid. Because the way that it works is your digestive system is a phenomenon, and actually, you develop your digestive system in utero, in the umbilical cord, before it actually slides into place when it's time, and the buds come off the digestive tract in order to create your organ. So this is where the nutrients that we take from the ina and we eat it, and it turns it into this alchemy that creates us, right? Our bones and our muscles and our tissue and our hair and our smiles, all of it. And so, when if we don't chew our food till it's liquid, I tell everybody you lose the game. You just lose the game, because there's no way for your body to contain it. And then if you have a trauma, when that meal is trying to get through and there's stuff in it, it's going to be more that the body's going to be able to grab and create toxicity within you. And so chewing your food to liquid is absolutely vital. And considering that 85% of our energy goes into our digestive tract every time we eat, we want to see, way less in the digestive tract and more in rejuvenation of your body and your organs. So that's where we really want to pay attention. The first thing you do is chew your food till it's liquid. And everybody slow down and enjoy it.
Yes. So when we have this education, it's actually a real bonding experience, and you watch different people. Like I remember in my cabin, not everybody has to stay on the farm, but it's a beautiful spot, and we were all very, very different. And one of my cabin mates, he had kind of a little bit of a tummy. Huh? And in less than a week, really, he was dropped below 200 pounds, which was really surprising for him. And his tummy went close to flat from being a bit barrel-chested. And again, that's just how your body starts to learn how to deal with things. So it's fun to watch other people have these big changes. And I saw so much growth in everybody. And so, like, I try to describe it, but it seems like you don't have a medical degree, right? You have studied for all this long time from both the Essene Scrolls, was that right? Yep. Indian medicine. Yep. So we say that.
Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic. Native American medicines. Native American. Yep. Certainly there's some Western medicine modalities and awareness that goes in there. It's like a whole 5 fingers maybe into a hand, and so, but it's very holistic. Mm-hmm. And so I'll just give a couple of things that healed for me. There was a whole bunch, but one that might sound small, but I have had a history of migraines, and I've gotten past it. But I had 25 years where I was really dependent on Excedrin migraine, so pretty much every day I'm kind of like jonesing for little crumbs of that. And then so that's done, so that's been done now for 7 or 8 months, and that sounds small.
That's a miracle.
But it's actually because I was having maybe like some ulcerative symptoms, and all of that's gone. Yeah. Number of things just really got finished, and I'm kind of walked in there reasonably healthy. But some people come in with very serious problems. You've had heart problems. How about addiction and trauma? Can you speak to that at all?
Again, it's just a form of disease. And so when people are ready, I've had people with alcohol problems, heroin addictions, meth, overeating, really hard on themselves, which really hurts their kidneys. There's many ways that as humans we find ourselves looking for ways out of our pain. And so, sometimes people are addicted to being ill. I just had a lady, speaking of migraines too, that had started developing migraines when she was 15, and she came at 51. And I had to take her to the hospital twice while she was here because her migraines were so bad that she went in and taught them the migraine protocol. She knows, like, boom, 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 here's do this. And she ended up having to do it twice. And by the 9th day, gone.
Gone.
And she doesn't have, and she said, I don't remember in my life that I didn't have migraines. You know, and come to find out, she was adopted when she was an infant. Or no, she was put into an orphanage as an infant, and then was adopted when she was 2. And she feels like she started the pain in her body then.
At 2 or when she
At
was
2.
At 2.
At 2, like maybe when she was adopted or right in that. She said she could remember all of her life hurting, but the migraine started at 15. Right? But she'd been also constipated before that, ever since she can remember. And so there is a connection between the bowels not moving properly and pain. You know, it's going to affect wherever it is. Malnutrients that don't get through because there's something, congesting the bowel wall that is not feeding the spleen and the pancreas and the liver and the kidneys and the lungs and the heart. And so there's also emotional issues to all of those too. But many times it can be just lack of nutrients, and so the body cannot reboot itself up because it's starving to death. And that's what I think is the majority of problems, is the body's literally starving to death. We feed it good food, and we're learning to feed it better, and we try to go more organic and, get more variety in our diet, but still we're like, why are we not better?
So what percentage of the people who come, you've been doing this for a long time, you've probably helped thousands.
Over 15 now.
Over 15,000? So in my cohort, and I think in my son's cohort and some others that I've talked to, pretty much everybody had parasites.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a percentage that don't?
Oh, that's a big question. No.
Not very many. Not very many.
And there's some parasites that are specific to nations. Like I can tell when somebody's been to India. I can tell when somebody's been to Africa.
And in
so
my
there's
case,
specifics.
you said you eat pork and you eat sushi.
Yeah, I can always. Those are very popular in Hawaii. And speaking of pork and parasites, isn't it interesting that that every major religion on the planet says don't eat pork? Why? And then finally, there was a study done at Stanford University that found out that that they took 3 pork roasts. One of them was raw. One of them they cooked like Sunday dinner that I grew up on, on a farm too. And one they burnt. And then they did a parasite test load on it, and they found that the one that was burnt still had 30% of the parasites still alive in it. And so, maybe the ancients, that knew that that you can't kill the parasites in it. But it's in every major religion, and yet here, even on our islands, it's a big deal. And people like and sushi. Sushi's a big thing too.
Sushi's a big deal.
Let's eat raw. But there's also studies where they see the fish come up on the dock in the big boxes, and in just a little bit they start moving. Right? What's moving is the host is dead and the parasites are coming to the surface. And so when you eat it raw, that's not a good idea. And then people are wondering, like, what the heck is that? Those are parasites from fish and from eating raw fish. And I only find those in people who eat raw fish. But the good thing about this is fish parasites are not hardy. So if you just steam the fish a little bit, it kills them.
And then
so that's okay.
I know that, like, one woman in our group, you said, "Are you sleeping with your dog?" And then she was like, "I can't not sleep with my dog." And my dog usually sleeps in my room. Right now, she's not sleeping in my room. She doesn't sleep. She's older. But, you're able to ask people and help them identify with, where their sources are. Yeah. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And can you speak to infertility? Because that was something that had come up. And one person was in there, wanting to be a mother.
Yep. And guess what? We just had a new miracle on that one too.
Did she have a baby?
She had a baby.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That is amazing, because she wasn't even, I don't want to say she was old, but she was definitely, pushing the edge of that window.
Yeah, she had baby Pearl.
She had a little girl. Okay, well, give her my.
But again, there's two sides of the colon. One on the lower right quadrant and one on the lower left quadrant that feeds the genital area. Okay, so it kind of goes like you have your left side. So this is all the left lower leg, left kidney, left hip, all of this area, and then it goes up, and then you have your spleen, and you have your pancreas, and you have your stomach, and you have your liver, which is huge. It goes all the way to your spine. So the colon goes up here like this and then comes down here on the right side. And this, of course, then is the lung on this side. So you can kind of see how the body gets nutrients this way. And then so the lower right quadrant is also where the big boys hang out, but it also is where the genital area on that side. And so many people have so much toxins there that there's no way that the genital can get regenerated.
So you've had good success with
Excuse me.
fertility challenges?
Yeah, so far, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, and
So-
I don't want anybody breaking my record either.
Okay. So you wrote a book called You Don't Have to Hurt Anymore, and it says The Enlightened Way to Health. I know you said somebody gave you that title.
The Enlightened Way to Health did. God, my boss, actually gave me the You Don't Have to Hurt Anymore. But the Enlightened Way to Health came from Losha, who actually lives on Maui now, and he's amazing. And he said, oh, you know what this is? The Enlightened Way to Health. And I'm like, that's the subtitle, because it is. It is that this book has so much valuable information about the organs and the thoughts that cause them harm and what we can do to correct it, and a lot of miracle stories in it too.
So this is something that, when we're under treatment, we listen to and hear. And then I wondered, I see that you brought some of your diagrams. And so when we're having this education through those 2 weeks, so maybe you can just pull up a few of them and say a little bit about them. And I think, you could just show a little bit of it. But so that's the kidneys. Just say a little bit about, because we really learned about all our organs.
Yeah, the education is priceless.
Yes.
So the kidneys, size of your fists, process 50 gallons of fluid a day. They're the final filtration system to your beautiful heart through your biggest internal vein called your aorta, which is the diameter of a garden hose. This is why kidney disease and heart disease is so closely related. And your kidneys are known by the ancients as the reins of humans, or the mother of all organs. And what causes these kidneys problems is when you rein yourself off the beauty road of loving. So when you're judging and criticizing, you really hurt your kidneys. And so when you judge people that are in different religions, or the way they eat different, or maybe their politics, or maybe their how they handle their neighborhood, or whatever, how they drive, you could hurt your kidneys by judging and criticizing them and yourself, because your right kidney is yourself and your left kidney is others.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and so always anything on the right side is self.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this is why it's really important that we understand we have to forgive, we have to love more, we have to accept and allow without judging and criticizing, because we're going to really hurt these organs. And you don't want to end up in kidney dialysis because of judging and criticizing.
And that helps with the diabetes then, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, we have so many that just don't have diabetes anymore, because once they understand, I'm going to share a story, because I had a beautiful man from this island who came and did the program, who had diabetes, 17 years, poking his belly twice a day, and still his blood sugar was running 190 to 210. Too high. And then on the second day of the cleanse, when we get to this beautiful organ called the pancreas, which I'll talk about this in a second, I called him up because he was staying with his daughter on the Big Island, and I said, how'd you do today? And he said, you want to know how I did? He said, I'm the 9th child of 12, and I was chosen by my grandparents to be raised by them to learn this ancient Hawaiian practice.
Lapa'au,
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah, and Lomi.
Okay.
And he said so it's a lifestyle, not just a Lomi and a practice. So he said he remembered that day, after he learned about the pancreas, right, and what he needed to do. He remembered waking up with his mother every morning, and her eyelids would flutter open, and she would say every morning, "Mahalo Akua," for another day to love. And it literally flipped his pancreas into a smile, and he never had diabetes after that. And when somebody has diabetes or pancreatic issues, it tells me that they've been living their life in unhappiness, and we're created to have great joy. That's written in all the scriptures as well. Mankind is created to have great joy. And so you see that this is a smile in the body, and then this beautiful pancreas produces 1.5 liters of amylase every day behind your second molar and under your tongue to break down your carbohydrates. And then it also produces 325 different enzymes after the food leaves the stomach for 23 feet of enzymatic breakdown in your small intestine. This is a powerful organ, very necessary for our health. And when somebody goes through long periods of depression and sadness and, poor me, and I wish this, I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda, then they take a picture of the pancreas and it looks like this, which really means they've dumped their happiness out. So when we tell them, write a gratitude list, watch happy movies, surround yourself with people that are funny, and make sure that you don't let yourself go into unhappiness again, they don't ever have to have diabetes. But it is a teacher.
So what that reminds me of too, a comment I would like to make as somebody who's had an experience there, is that the team that works there, it's not just you, there's a whole
Right.
team. And so in that whole team, most of them have gone through their own powerful healing journey also. And I know myself, I'm always like, I don't want to bother anybody, And what I really sort of was able to truly feel about halfway through it is how invested they were at everybody's success, and part of their joy and their strength in the job, and why they want to do it is because they are addicted to miracles just like you are.
Right.
So it's like a whole team of people, and then your cohort transforms into this team of people who are all wishing you well, and it's a really good way to re-examine how one operates in the world. We probably have time for one, maybe two more of those slides, but there's stuff for every organ in the body.
Let's try to get in two. So
Okay.
let's get in the heart and the spleen, okay?
Okay.
So,
You have the heart and the lungs.
The heart and the lungs, yeah. So the lungs, and this is a big deal because of all the stuff going around like COVID. So this is why I want people to listen to this one. So you have two lungs. Your lungs are so amazing that if you spread them out, they're the surface space of a tennis court. And so I tell people, the next time you have a chance to walk around a tennis court, you're going to admire your lungs a lot more. So you breathe in 23,000 breaths a day. And when you breathe in, it's called inspiration. And when you exhale, it's called expiration. And so that tells you that you have 23,000 opportunities a day to inspire. Inspire everyone you can. And your lungs, when we breathe in oxygen from the environment and then we breathe out carbon dioxide, to give back to them. What changes that is this thing called sulfur. And so this is why onions, leeks, and garlic are very powerful to help reboot the lungs. And so right now, why we have a viral community still with COVID going around and flus going around, you never want to eat raw onions out in public. It's very dangerous because if somebody in the back is cutting up an onion and they have the flu, you're going to eat it and get it, okay? So it's better if you don't, cooked onions don't do that, but raw onions do, okay? And so take good care of your lungs and feed it good sulfur foods because it's helpful to them. And then in this puka right here is because your left lung is smaller than your right to sit this beautiful organ called your heart, which is known by the ancients as the seat of consciousness. Also a fist-sized organ. And this beautiful organ pumps 2,000 gallons of blood a day. It's only a fist size too, it's amazing. At 48 miles per hour, which is faster than any horse can run through 60,000 miles of circulation. And what causes this heart disease is called grief. And what do we get grief from? It's from someone who has died and crossed over and said things unsaid. Do they know how much I love them? Do they know how much they meant to me? How much I miss them? I needed to say that to them. And so this is on the third day of the cleanse, we're hitting this organ, and this is where we see heart disease disappear, okay? And I'm going to share a really quick story about a cute lady named Shirley who called me up from California, and she said, "You don't know me, but my name's Shirley, and I just got back from my cardiologist, and I don't have heart disease anymore." And I said, "Way to go, Shirley, what happened?" And she said, "I read your book." And I said, "Oh, that's cool." I said, "So, Shirley, who died?" And she said, "It was my husband." And she said, "When I was reading that chapter, I could feel his warm breath on my shoulder saying, 'Cheryl, I've been trying to tell you, just be happy.'" because our loved ones don't want us to have heart disease and come and join them. They want us to have happiness. And I just ran into a lady at the airport coming over here yesterday. Same thing. She just lost her husband in April and was very sad. Happened to just some reason sit by me, and we've got talking about it. And I was telling her, you know, this is how you're going to deal with this, so that you can look at what he wants, your happiness. He doesn't want you to be so sad and grieving. You know, you're going to go through bouts of it, but, you know, keep adding the gratitude of why the good things that you had of 25 years with him. Keep looking at the good things, and you're going to find your heart is not going to, you're not going to have heart disease and die, because your children need you.
I'd like to take this moment to honor your husband, Larry, who was your deep partner in this whole journey.
45 years.
45 years, and he transitioned a year ago.
Yep.
So you're walking the talk.
Yep.
And you have been able to keep the legacy moving. And when we talk about gratitude, something that I think was a big takeaway for me in this, I mean, I'm happy with myself, though. If I could have been anything I wanted to be, I'd be a tall man, you know. And so I'm not that, you know. I've definitely figured out how to accept that. I know, but you know, when you go through this whole experience of learning how each organ works over 2 weeks, and the interplay, and so much, you have the gratitude for the different organs, and then, you know, for myself at 62 years old, I mean, I'm grateful for my body that, you know, moves my spirit around, my soul around. And I think an attitude of gratitude is something that is very easy for everybody at the end of the journey to be able to have. And, you know, I have kind of a high stress job, honestly. And it can be very difficult, you know, when you look at all these Solomon choices for even the smallest little things make a difference in different people's lives.
Right.
And so in my position in the county council, we're constantly making decisions that might help some, hurt some, and then things where you just can't make a big enough difference, you know. And so it's like, how do we keep lifting it, and how do we stay encouraged? And so I would say attending Angel Farms for the 2 weeks that I did last January really did help me to sort of reboot my emotional system after, you know, 6 years in office. And so that's good, and it's good for everybody. So I really thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to us here. And we won't have to say where you're at right now, because by the time the listeners are hearing it, that won't be the case. I'm really glad that you were here, and that you are here, and that how can people find you? Is their phone number? Certainly we said angelfarms.com.
Yep.
And is there a number? How do you, and if people want to learn more?
Yeah, so the best way is go to the website, angelfarms.com, and you'll find a lot of information, including, you know, parasites if you want to look at them, and a lot of testimonials. But and our phone number is 808-965-0781, so that's a good way to reach and leave a number there too. And yeah, that's the best way. And every Sunday we do a conference call where we educate people about how the program works. And so if you want to have that information, we can definitely get that to you, how to get on the conference call and the code to get in. And but that's a great way just to hear about it and see if it's a fit, and learn a lot of information. I like to share all the time about be careful with caffeine. On an empty stomach, not good. Be careful with oil supplementation. You never do oil, because it's never have any of us seen oil concentrated out of a coconut for us to eat, right? And so we don't want to do oil supplementation because it's not healthy for us. Really hard on the liver and the gallbladder. And we want to be really careful to make sure we drink plenty of water without putting things in it, because if you put lemon in water, it's not water anymore. So people have to be very careful with that too. But water is a key to your health.
But lemon water is fine, just as long as you drink plenty of water.
Right.
So you don't have to stop lemon water.
Exactly.
You just need to drink that. Yes.
Exactly. But the lemon can be great for the lymphatic system, and it's wonderful and tastes good sometimes, but it doesn't do, not one drop of it can get to your brain or to your eyeballs.
So if you're drinking a bunch of soda, like we kind of like off soda, and I will say that I am almost completely sugar-free. The interest in sugar is gone for me. Sometimes I eat a few little things to be polite. but I no longer crave it. So thank you
Wonderful.
so much for joining us
thank
and
you for having me.
coming back to Kauai. You come here pretty often, but really wherever anybody is in the world, because we found people from all over the world come to see
Yeah,
you, right? Probably
yeah.
mostly American. I don't know.
Well, I just had a lady from Canada, and a couple of little while ago we had people from Ireland, and yeah,
Yeah.
they hear about us and come.
Yeah, I bet most of your business comes from word of mouth.
Yep.
Because it really is amazing, and certainly beat my expectations, though, because I saw such a powerful life-saving transformation in my son. I was an easy sell at that point, but before that, if I hadn't seen that, and hadn't had such a personal connection, maybe I wouldn't have thought about it as much. So thank you so much for joining us
welcome.
here, and
You're welcome.
I
I love you.
appreciate you. Yes.
I appreciate you too. You're
Mahalo.
awesome.
Mahalo and Angel Farms gratitude.
Thank you.